What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of New York Got Game. Knicks Weekly Live. Got my guy Bryan Fonseca here with me. Gonna talk some Knicks basketball. It's been an interesting week for the New York Knicks. They've lost 2 games in a row after they won their first 2 games of the season, which have caused some of y'all to jump out the window. We will not be doing that here, but I'm sure some of you will be in the chat. If you're in the chat rocking with us, we appreciate you. We will get to our comments. We have a fantastic show today. We're going to talk about the Knicks. Their first NBA Cup game of the season is coming up tomorrow night against Chicago Bulls. We will have Cam Smith joining us of the Chicago Sports Network. He is the pre- and post-game show host for the Chicago Bulls on the Chicago Sports Network. He'll be joining us to talk. Excited to talk to him at the bottom of the hour. Bryan, how are you doing? Have you jumped out the window on the Knicks yet?
Feeling better about Real Betis. I don't know if you saw that 7-1 win in Copa del Rey today. So
I did not see that.
I got the hat on.
And some people might recognize. I should have, because it matches my shirt. Got a little red and black. My both teams played hard shirt. I am not rocking any Liverpool gear because they have not been playing well lately, and I'm not going to talk about that because it's not making me feel good. But we still are the champs. You know, there's been some people who want to like tweet at me on Twitter and stuff. You know, when they see Liverpool going through a struggling moment, like we aren't the champs. Their team hasn't won anything. So, Bryan, enjoy your shine. I'm not mad at you.
But
you're not a hater, so I'm not mad at
you. And I got no smoke with the EPL except Chelsea for last year. But
you should. The person who tweets at me is a Chelsea fan. That's how they get down. That's all I'm going to say. They know who they are. It's not Brandon London, by the way, in case anybody's wondering.
Okay. I was wondering that actually. but as far as the Knicks go, there are things to nitpick. It's also 5% of the way through the year. I think, if that, I don't even know what the percentage is. I know we're not anywhere near 10% of the way yet. No. That'll be for another 2 weeks or so, or week, because we have a couple more games this week. The Bulls matchups are interesting, though. We talked a little bit about this when we did the post-game live show. Well, we did the live show in general. What post-game we specifically talk about this, and this is I want to say a big home and home, but not from the standpoint of, hey, if you lose 2, your season's over. It's not that dramatic, but big in terms of like a lot of things will be tested here. The Bulls' legitimacy. We will talk to Cam about that because they're 4-0, one of the only teams in the NBA who is undefeated to this point. There's only 4 of them, 2 in the East, and the Bulls are one of them. The Sixers are the other. And then in the West is OKC and San Antonio. And with the Knicks, it's about, okay, is this a skid or is this the bounce back spot? And then on top of that, you have to try to beat the Bulls again. So these are 2 games that matter. And given the way both teams are playing, I find it hard to believe that either side is going to win both. I suppose Chicago can because of how well they've been playing, but I do have questions about how sustainable this is. And I do have some theories as to perhaps why they're playing so well. It's not shade at all, by the way. Maybe shade to one player in particular, but that's neither here nor there.
So I've gone back and watched some of the Bulls games. I did watch their game last night against Sacramento, and did see some good things in execution. I will save more of that for when we talk to Cam and he joins us, but I do think it'll be good. Once again, Cam Smith of Chicago Sports Network, the Chicago Bulls pre- and post-game show host, will be joining us in about 7 minutes or so. He will be with us here. I think the big question coming out of the live watch along we did the other night, and I've already had some people, I was just recording a podcast. Shout out to my guy, Bob Walters and Locked Up Sports Podcast. He was like, yo, man, I loved he said he loved your takes, our takes both about people jumping out the window. And I like to take time away from things. Shout out to you, Dorcosaurus Rex. We see you in the chat. I like to take time away from things sometimes and be like, okay, am I tripping on this? Am I not tripping on this? Am I doing too much here? And I've been thinking a lot about the Knicks fans who we saw, and it's a segment of the Knicks fans, not all of you, who are not patient with Mike Brown. Some of you guys, saying that you out here, you want a refund on the coaching change. All sales are final, though.
So no refunds.
All sales are final. That's all I'm saying. Should fans be more patient with Mike Brown? Like, have we lost something in fandom? Have we lost patience? Like, I feel like it's lost.
Honestly, if you look at the last, I don't know, 10 years or so, we've lost a lot. Especially in the realm of media. But I do think that as it pertains to this, yeah, we've definitely lost because everything is just 24/7. There's something happening all the time. And I think collectively, we're just a lot more anxious about things, period. So this gets taken into our personal lives. This gets taken into sports and the things we care about and the things we consume. So I think people just look at the Knicks and they want to see the Knicks win so badly because of how much pressure this team is under, from the fan base to the league itself to maybe even league partners to their own organization, who again said, we believe this is a championship roster when firing the guy who brought you closer to a championship than you've been in a very, very long time, 25 years approximately. So I do think that it's just a collective angst. And this is the cycle we're in. You know, if this was happening a few generations ago, like 20 years ago or so, we'd be on sports radio right now. Well, maybe, I don't know. I don't know if they'd hire us, but we'd be on sports radio right now.
Man.
And the callers would be probably similar, but I think it's even more heightened now because everything just feels like it has so much more stakes to it for whatever the reason is.
Well, listen, the thing about sports radio too, sports radio plays a factor in this. I'm not going to mention the person's name, but we had somebody the other day out here disrespecting Mike Brown's last name.
I know what you're talking about.
And that's ridiculous. You can just say it's ridiculous because it's 4 games. It's ridiculous. I'm just keeping it clean because I'm not messing up my money. That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna leave it at that. Dorkosaurus Rex, I see you in the chat. I would like to make note that you're making up some good points, and I think that you're also bringing some statistics that we are going to talk about with Cam. Dorkosaurus Rex says, a lot of reasons to be concerned about this matchup. They're great defensively, talking about the Bulls. They're shockingly good rebounders also. I will get into that with some of the stats and how that compares with the Knicks. To his point about defense, the Bulls, they're 4th in defensive rating. 107 points per 100 possessions in defensive rating. This is according to Cleaning the Glass, which takes out garbage time. You guys know I love Cleaning the Glass and their statistics. That's according to them. So they're 4th in defensive rating. Dorkosaurus Rex actually also brings up some stuff that we talked about the other night. He talked about the Knicks. They're averaging just 100 possessions per game, which is slow in pace. That is 22nd in pace. He's right about that. But he also says the Bulls, they're one of the fastest teams in the league. Something I've noticed from watching their games. They are playing with very, very good pace in terms of pushing the ball. They're averaging 104.9 possessions per game. That ranks 17th. So again, it's 5 spots between 22nd and 17th. This is also out of a 4-game sample size. A lot can change with these numbers in a couple of games. So it's something to keep your eye on with these teams. I'm not saying that what Dorkosaurus Rex is bringing up isn't worth it, because I think it is. The bigger thing that he brings up here is something that Brian and Anthony Galler, our guest on the watch party, brought up a ton the other night. Said the Knicks are one of the worst third quarter teams. Absolutely correct. Scoring as low as 20 points in that quarter. That's 29th in the league. Bulls one of the best in the third quarter, 34 points, right? That's something to definitely watch. You know what I mean? In terms of how those teams are in the third quarter, we talked about the other night. So, you know, those are all good things to look at. Things you want to keep an eye on with this Knicks Bulls matchup. I think the thing for me, though, personally, I'm excited to talk to Cam about this. We're going to join us shortly. This is going back to, if you're a Knicks fan of a certain age and you're a Bulls fan of a certain age, you don't like each other. You know what I'm saying? You hated the Bulls. The Bulls hated the Knicks. There's a great rivalry in the 90s. If you're from Chicago or New York, you loved it. This was great time, you know, to watch.
When was the last time you actually hated the Bulls? As somebody who's been a Knicks fan for your entire life.
I mean, for me, it's like, has it ever stopped?
Even now?
Yeah, it's different because the Bulls haven't been a strong contending team, or them and the Knicks haven't been really good at the same time again. But it's like Anthony Gallo asked a question the other day. He said, what's one of these franchises that you just still always feel some kind of way about? And I mentioned the Braves and the Bulls kind of, and if you're a Knicks fan, I think the Bulls, the Heat, the Pacers, they're always your rivals. You always look at them.
The Heat and Pacers are at least, or have been at least, consistently good. The Bulls, the only stretch where I feel like in recent memory where they were both legitimately good was when Melo and Derrick Rose were basically rising to like the top of the Eastern Conference and two of the best players in the Eastern Conference, which feels like a short amount of time because of Derrick Rose's injuries, unfortunately. That's where it felt like it could be a thing. But since then, I haven't really thought of this in that way, and the Bulls have kind of been middling for a long time. Now they're 4-0. They haven't been 4-0 in a while. Their defense looks shockingly good. You mentioned the pace that they're playing at, and this is what the Bulls and the Heat are doing that Orlando's not doing. They're playing with pace while their offense is still a highly rated offense, while their defense is still a highly rated offense. Because they're actually getting stops, and they're doing this without Kobe White, which is fascinating. And I would want to ask Cam about this because some of these scorers who are one-way scorers around the league, like their value is in a very interesting place because you question how much the impact is going to be there. And I do wonder if Kobe White coming back, like to what degree is it going to help? Because historically his on-off numbers, they could be better. Now he's been on bad teams, but they could be better, or mid teams, I should say, because they haven't all been terrible.
Low key Nick killer Kobe White too. I don't know. Low key might be actually a little ridiculous for me to say. It might be high key.
He can play. He could play, but
Kobe can ball, man.
And just going up and down the roster this year, they're also shooting they're shooting 39% from three. I don't know if that's going to sustain itself, but look, if it's a 2-game sample, like it can happen. Nikola Vucevic has been very impactful, talking about the glass, and Dorkosaurus in the comments has mentioned this. And if you have comments, let us know. We will get to them. But Nikola Vucevic has been just it feels more impactful this year in terms of the numbers he gets and in terms of his on-off percentage, his on-off metrics rather being good. I think he's 11.3 per 100 possessions, which isn't even the best on the team. The best on the team is like Trey Jones and Isaac Okoro. Trey Jones has kind of been a revelation. So it's just going to be a lot of interesting things that they can do. And even last year, there was like a worrisome game against the Bulls early on in the year that we had talked about because people were freaking out. And it may have been Kobe White related, as a matter of fact, now that I think about it. But
do want to bring up some notes that just came through about tomorrow's game. Mitchell Robinson is questionable. He was a full participant in practice today. That came. Gershon Yabusele is probable for tomorrow's game. This according to our Stephen Bondi.
2-2, break glass in case of emergency.
I mean,
look at that.
See, you can't be doing that for the people. The people already think it's an emergency, and now you're saying that it's an emergency. You know what I mean? So
has Mitchell Robinson been questionable all year?
No, he's been
right?
out
he's
for
just
all
been
games.
out.
So this is a huge upgrade.
Okay,
this
so
is a huge upgrade.
This is usually people a precursor to you're going to play. Now it may not be the next game, but he's on the way.
Questionable at least can lead to a possibility of a game time decision tomorrow is what I will say at the most. The fact that he's probable is good. But we've got our guest here with us. We're going to bring him in. He is the pre and post game show host for the Chicago Bulls for the Chicago Sports Network. Watched this guy's work for quite some time. We didn't really finally connect until this week, but it is Cam Smith who is joining us now. Cam, what's going on, brother? How you doing? Cam, we can't hear you now. You can hear us though, correct? That's it. Cam couldn't hear us at first. Now we can't hear Cam. We got to figure out what's going on. Hang tight, Cam. We'll figure it out. We'll bring you back in a second. We'll get it. It's modern technology today. It happens sometimes. Cam's a pro though. He's done a lot of live shows in the studio. He knows how this is going. He's gonna fix his mic and stuff. We'll get him back. Cam will join us in 1 second. We're going to talk to him about the Bulls at 4-0 start, the Knicks 2-2 start, this matchup, the whole rivalry. We will talk about everything here. I think we have some interesting stuff for later with our real or not segment that should be fun. That some of you guys, it's a little centered around potentially jumping out the window. Is what I will say there. Dorkosaurus Rex, shout out to you. I like that you look at stats and see what's going on with these teams. You called Dorkosaurus Rex. I want to use your words here. You said this is a problem matchup for the Knicks.
Could be.
The Bulls. you can say what you can say, but the Bulls still have traditionally played the Knicks tough over the last couple of years. Even though they've been a team that's been around in the play-in range, there has been matchups where they've played them really tough. Last year, you remember the game last year where Josh Hart fouled. That was Kobe White, I believe it was.
There's more injury updates, by the way.
You got more injury updates? Please.
These are a little more obvious, but Karl-Anthony Towns listed probable. So he's been questionable, probable, even doubtful, and he's played every game so far. Deuce McBride, personal reasons, not listed on the injury report.
No, and he was back with the team today and is expected to play. Stephen Bondy reported that earlier.
So we got confirmation on those things as well. So a possibly fully healthy Knicks team for this game.
Possibly.
Sounds like they're treating it like they don't want to lose 3 straight.
Well, nobody wants to lose 3 straight. That's not the point. The point is, even if they do lose 3 straight, and we're saying things are getting scary on Halloween for the Knicks, that doesn't mean, even if they lose 3 straight, doesn't mean some of y'all should jump out the window.
Not this early.
Some of y'all want an excuse to jump out the window, right?
Not this early.
I'm with Dorkosaurus Rex. I'm not sleeping, and I've liked what I've seen from the Bulls and how they've been playing. And I do like your question, Brian, about whether or not how things fit for them when Kobe White comes back, with the way that they are working together now, sort of as a collective. When you look at this Bulls team, there's some things that I think are working for them. You also wonder sometimes early in the season, is this sustainable? I'll tell you what, I was watching the game against the Kings last night. I definitely want to hear what Cam has to say about this. I'm watching that game last night, and I'm like, how does DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine feel? Because they're like, hey, we're better off without you. Nikola Vucevic was smiling out there. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, those 2 dudes aren't, to me at least, the winningest players in the NBA is what I'll call them. So Zach LaVine especially, for being fair. Like DeMar DeRozan has at least. Zach LaVine has 4 career playoff games, I think? Something low like that?
I think so.
Not that it's DeMar all his own doing.
DeMar DeRozan has had mid, second round runs or whatever.
He's just been bad in the playoffs.
Yeah, that is also true.
4 career playoff games for Zach LaVine, by the way.
4 career playoff games that he's had.
4.
Okay. Shout out to East Blue Drew, Coney Island's finest out there. Salute.
He has a good
Deuce is back. I do agree with East Blue Drew's point here. I do agree. So people, I'm gonna put a sum in front of that, East Blue. I'm gonna put a sum. People want us to lose so they can keep on saying how much they miss Tibbs and his ISO. I hear you.
That was the game, Dorkosaurus. That's the one I'm thinking of. Bulls 139, Knicks 126, January 4th, 2025. Was that the one at the Garden that they lost?
Yeah, I think that was the one where Mikal Bridges had the block. Is that one on Vucevic?
I want to say Kobe White.
I went to overtime, so no, that's not that one.
I want to say Kobe White had a good game when this happened.
All right, our guest is ready. I'm going to introduce him again with the proper introduction that he.
Kobe White had 33. I was right.
Kobe White 33 in that game. Yeah. He is the pre and post game show host for the Chicago Bulls. If you watch the Chicago Sports Network out in the Chi, Cameron Smith joins us now. Cam, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
What's up, fellas? Hopefully, second time is the charm. Are we good?
Second time is the charm. We can hear you.
Okay, baby. There we go. There we go.
How you doing, brother? You good?
I'm good, man. It's great to be on the show with you guys. I appreciate you opening up the door to New York Got Game, man. So I'm excited to have this conversation, especially when we talk this rivalry. There's still a rivalry to us in Chicago. See? I'm not sure how you guys feel in New York, but it's always gonna be business when the Knicks and the Bulls get on the court against each other. No matter what the records are, who's playing, who's not playing. We got too much history against each other. You guys know that.
I agree. Cam, you're a Chicago guy. I'm a New York guy, so as is Brian here. I agree with you. I still feel that. There was a way I felt about the Knicks-Bulls matchups when I was young, and I'm going to be this. I was a hater. I was hating the Bulls. I was a hater. I was a straight hater.
How could you not?
There's no doubt about it. But listen, you know what annoyed me the most, Cam? Growing up, there used to be Chicago Bulls fans in my middle school walking around with. Yeah, you'd be surprised. There's some Bulls fans out here in New York, brother. There were some Bulls fans, and I didn't like it. That's what I'm saying. I didn't like any of it.
Hey, you know what, man? I got to commend those brave souls because they were in the lion's den and really in the belly of the beast promoting that fandom for the Bulls. So, like, again, for me, like as a kid in the 90s, like I'm an 80s baby, man. So I just,
Same.
praises to the Most High. I just turned 40 this past summer, but I vividly remember those games between the Knicks and the Bulls, NBA playoffs, even regular season too. But I always remember, especially when the Bulls played at the Garden, of that organ playing and that defense. And again, I'm dating myself here, but listening to the games in the car and hearing that organ was like, Empire Strikes Back, the Death Star, the Knicks, Patrick Ewing. It was a lot going into that. So, but just some classic memories.
We are a little older. Cam, you and I are close in age. I'm 2 years older than you, and so yes, I have those same memories. And I have learned that Bulls fans of that around that era, like you, they had to hate. The beef was still there. Somebody just said in the chat, the beef is forever. East Blue Drew just said that in the chat. The beef is forever. I agree with that. But Cam, we appreciate you coming through and rocking with us here. I gotta ask you this: the Bulls, they're off to a 4-0 start. I want you to be honest with me. Don't be honest. Are you surprised? And what do you make of this 4-0 start? And what have you seen that is going right for the Bulls here thus far?
Listen, fellas, you guys have graciously let me on to your show. So if I say that I'm not surprised, then ban me forever from coming on this show. No, everybody in Chicago is surprised about this team. Let's just be real about this thing. Nobody had the Bulls being 4-0 at this point in the season. If they said that they were going to be 4-0 at this point in the season, they're lying through their teeth, and lightning is going to strike them down. So we don't play those games. So this team, we knew coming into the season, though, had some chemistry from last year. I mean, when you look at the moves that they made in the offseason, it wasn't significant compared to moves like, of course, that your Knicks made with adding Jordan Clarkson and some other pieces as well. I mean, you think about, obviously, the changes in Indiana and Boston, of course, with the Pistons, the Orlando Magic. Everyone in the East, for the most part, that you either saw in the playoffs or the play-in, made at least additions, 2 to 3 guys, maybe even 4 guys to the team. So the chemistry is still being worked on for those teams early on, and you see it. But for this Bulls group, they finished the year last year 15-5. And people can say, all right, well, Cam, they were playing against teams that were mailing it in, people trying to tank and all of that. Yeah, miss me with that. At the end of the day, you got to play the games. And so we know these guys are competitors. And so I took stock in what they were able to do towards the end of the season. And then coming into this year, I said to myself, they could really hit the ground running with how their schedule sets up. Against the Detroit Pistons, that's how we opened up the home opener against Detroit, got them out of the way really quickly. And it was impressive of how they limited Cade Cunningham. And you look at the final stat lines, people say, okay, well, Cam, limited. He had 23 points. Look at his field goal percentage. Look at the shot attempts. And that's the defense that the Bulls are bringing into the season that's been consistent with them. So, again, to go back to answer your question, yes, hell yes, I'm surprised that this team is 4-0 at the start of the season. But, look, it's great vibes in Chicago. We know it's a long 82-game season. They're going to have their valleys, their peaks and valleys. They're going through the peaks right now, but the valleys will come because it's the NBA. But right now, it's just a great feeling to have this team playing great basketball.
Before I let Brian say something, because you said you were shocked, I'm just curious about this too, Cam. I don't know if you made predictions. I'm assuming you might have before the season. Where did you see this Bulls team before this first 4 games? Like when you looked and said, okay, at the end of 2026 and April 19th, where did you see this team being?
You know what? I see this team being either play in. I'm not going to rule out the playoffs. And when I say playoffs, that 6th seed, I'm not going to push it even further than that. But I would say we gave a prediction myself, my running mate, Kendall Gill, that does pre and post with me, along with our guy, Casey Johnson, our Bulls insider, gave a range of what we thought this team would win a certain amount of games. So we gave it between 37 and 42. And when you look at the past couple of seasons, they finished at 39 wins, even a few seasons ago, finished at 40. But with this team and this makeup, this is where they're going to live. And I mentioned they're going to have their valleys that they're going to go through, and it's going to happen, right? So right now, you try and stack up as many wins as you can. But at the end of the day, we know that the East and some of these teams that we expect to be in the upper echelon, like the Knicks, like the Magic, like the Cleveland Cavaliers, I'll throw the Pistons in there as well. They're going to hit their stride, right? Because they're too talented and they have multiple all-stars on their team. And when you have that type of power on your group and in your group, then the ship will be righted for that. So I think the Bulls will be, again, a team that will be playoffs. I know Bulls fans don't want to hear this. Playoffs a little bit, maybe 6 seed, but this is where Bulls fans don't want to hear this, is play in once again. But it's just the reality of where things are right now. And trust me, fellas, I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. I want them to be in the playoffs. I want them to be a 5th, 4th seed, but I'm also realistic about things. So I think that they live, again, between 37 to maybe 42 wins.
Okay, fair.
But I mean, they have legitimately. Hold on, Cam. They have legitimately 3 wins as just straight up underdogs. Like going into it, the books are like they're not going to beat Detroit. They're not going to beat Atlanta. They're not going to beat this team. They have these real wins. You have 6 guys in your rotation shooting at least 50% from the field. They actually have a great balance in terms of offense and defense and playing with pace. Like, unlike Orlando, they're able to play with pace and get stops. For whatever reason, Orlando hasn't been able to do that right now. And with the Bulls, I mean, like Trey Jones has been kind of a revelation, who I think is very interesting in terms of how he's fitting into this roster as a starter now. Buzelis hasn't even popped yet, but you're sort of seeing the flashes of what he can do, and a lot of people are excited about his potential. Josh Giddey is earning his money, so to speak. Nikola Vucevic, too, as a matter of fact. Yeah. So, I mean, I do have just one real question off of this, and since we were talking about the 90s, I figure I'd quote Jay-Z to ask this, but Cam, how real is this start for the Bulls this season? Like, is this actually sustainable to where they can be a top 6 seed?
Look, everything that you laid out individually with players on this roster like Trey Jones and Josh Giddey, Matas Buzelis, Nikola Vucevic. I'll even throw Ayo Dosunmu's name in there. He's shooting the leather off the basketball in this small sample size of the season. I mean, the man is shooting 60% last time I checked from 3. And so that's a big upgrade from what he shot last year at 33%. So, again, I put stock into it. I think it is real because here's the thing about this Bulls team. They have their identity early. They know who they are. A lot of teams, especially in the East, don't know who they are. And I go back to the lack of chemistry, and they're still trying to work on that. And you got to give credit to New York and Billy Donovan and what he's been able to do with this team and really getting them to buy in as a unit. They don't have a Karl-Anthony Towns. They don't have a Jalen Brunson. They don't have a Cade Cunningham or Donovan Mitchell. They don't have these all-stars, these upper echelon players to say, look, here's the rock. We need a bucket. Go carry us to this win in the last 3 to 4 minutes. They don't do it. They do it by committee. And so that's why I say it's real, because you're basically facing off against a team that's going to beat you by death by 1,000 cuts. And this is what they are and who they are. If you look at their defensive rating, they're top 3 in the NBA right now in defensive rating. But when you go to their bench, it doesn't drop off outside the top 10. I believe they're 9th in defensive rating when you look at just their bench unit. So Billy Donovan is employing a 10-man to sometimes 11-man rotation. And so when you can bring that type of pressure, similar to what we saw a little bit with Indiana last year of how they were able to hit a stride in the playoffs, make a run to the NBA Finals. Not saying that that's going to be the Bulls' destination, but again, I want to be wrong on this, and that'll be great. But also, it wears on teams when you have that type of depth. And last night was a great example against the Sacramento Kings, where Zach LaVine back in the building, he was playing with a different type of battery in his back because he wanted to show Chicago fans, hey, this is what you've been missing out on. Domantas Sabonis was getting his in the first half. But what changed was second half, especially third quarter, you saw the team defensively start to really wear on Sacramento. And they're on the tail end of the back-to-back, so you give them a little grace on that. But again, it's the Bulls' ability to really to just throw out these platoons and these waves at you defensively and get up and down the run. It's not sustainable for opponents to try and keep up with that, but it is sustainable for this Bulls team because it's something that they've really worked on going back to last year. So the system is set, the identity is set, and they're just really believing in each other and who they are.
You said something interesting about teams trying to figure out who they are. Like Atlanta, for example, they have an infusion of talent. They don't really know what they're going to be yet. And now Trae Young is out, at least tomorrow. We don't know for how long. Detroit's trying to, they have a lot of the same guys coming back, but they were expecting Jaden Ivey again. All of a sudden he's out. They're working in some new pieces, Karis LeVert, Duncan Robinson, so on and so forth. And then with Orlando, with Desmond Bane and trying to get Paolo to be efficient, like they haven't figured out who they are. Is there something to be said for, even though I feel like in the Chicago area, this roster was probably met with apathy going into the season, but is there something to be said for continuity and running it back with a lot of the same guys, slight moves around the margins. We talk about this a lot as it pertains to the Knicks because they didn't have a crazy overhaul of their roster this past year, like they did the year before where they made the Towns trade. But a lot of the same guys are back for the Bulls. You add in some moves around the margins. Isaac Okoro's new, Trey Jones is new, so on and so forth. Do you think they're also benefiting from that?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I was literally having this conversation with my older brother as we talked about, like, just, again, the Bulls being 4-0 and beating Sacramento. And getting back to the point of continuity, Isaac Okoro was the only true piece that the Bulls added in the offseason. I mean, Trey Jones came over in that 3-team deal with Zach Collins, with the Kings and with the the San Antonio Spurs. So, again, he's a guy that was able to find his role with Billy Donovan, and Billy Donovan loves Trey Jones. Like, if you watch him play, and I'm sure you guys have watched and seen what his impact is, even your viewers as well, because they know ball. He's a guy that's one of the best on-ball defenders and just really defenders at his size in the NBA. I mean, I believe he's still at the top or near the top when it comes to steals per game. But again, it's the continuity that you have on that defensive end, which helps. And so when you add a guy like Isaac Okoro, who is known for his defensive ability, you're not asking him offensively to come in and mesh with this group because that's necessarily isn't his strong suit. Now he's working on that and trying to be better at that because he's labeled as a 3-and-D guy, but the Bulls are relying on him as a defender. I mean, you go back to the season opener for this team against the Detroit Pistons in that final defensive trip that the Bulls had. He made the decision to switch on to Cade Cunningham because there was a couple of switches going on. If you go back to that last play where Okoro basically played free safety, had his back turned to the basketball on the sideline. And as Trey Jones came out, as he was checking Cade Cunningham, because Cunningham was coming out to the three-point area because the Pistons were down 3 with about 13 seconds left, Okoro told Trey Jones to go back and switch on to Isaiah Stewart. And no disrespect to Isaiah Stewart, but nobody's checking him for 3. Nobody's checking him to catch and score at the rim because they're down 3. They don't need 2 points. They need 3. So Okoro switches on to Cunningham, forces him into a tough 3. Ball tips out. Tobias Harris shoots another tough 3, and the Bulls get the rebound. So it's those points where defensively you add that piece and it just raises your profile of your team defensively. And that was a big thing that Billy Donovan and the front office talked about during media day, was that they wanted to raise their defensive profile. And we're seeing it so far in the early part of the season. I mean, I talked about this team being top 10 or being top 3 in defensive rating as a unit. But then also when you look at opponents' 3-point percentage or really lack thereof, you have to really go into and peel back the layers of how they're doing it. They're doing it with rotations. They're doing it with high contests. And also they're doing a great job on the glass. So, yes, to your point, the continuity, it is a lot to say about that and how they've been able to hit a stride in this early part of the season.
Cam, I always feel, I'm glad Brian brought that up because I always feel like continuity is underrated so often in sports, right? I think we do that. And then you mentioned something that when I watched him yesterday, and I looked at the game against the Kings, I said to myself, man, this team is really deep. It's deeper than I think I had realized. And there's also a lot of rotation flexibility for Billy Donovan in this one. And until you just started talking about it, I was like, and I thought about this last night too, and I was like, this team feels a little bit like the 2020, 2021 Knicks. Maybe saying someone like a Julius Randle there, but maybe Kobe White is that guy that emerges for them. We'll get to Kobe White in a second. I want to ask you about Matas Buzelis because I was high on him last year. And if you watch those last 20 games, which you talked about last year, he was balling last year. If you were watching the Bulls last year towards the end of the season, you could see he was starting to come into his own. When you look at how he started off this year, do you look at it as like, is he making a leap? And is he a guy we should be talking about to look at, keep an eye on for most improved player right now here in the NBA?
Well, when we started this conversation and you asked me, was I surprised about the Bulls start? And I was like, yes, I was surprised. But when it comes to Matas Buzelis, I'm not surprised that he's having the production that we're seeing so far in the early part of the season because this dude has supreme confidence. I don't want to call it irrational confidence. It's supreme confidence really in his ability to get the job done, but also the work that he puts in on his game. And so for him being from Chicago and understanding, obviously growing up and watching Derrick Rose, and he has a relationship with D Rose, but also being challenged by some of the city's best. He's a guy that I go back to, and I tweeted this out earlier today because we had this conversation on Bulls pre and post, Kendall Gill and I, about just what Matas was able to do last night and really how he's glowed up the past 2 games. Because if you go back to last Saturday against Orlando, he got humbled. I mean, he fouled out, only 3 points, a few rebounds. He just never got into a flow because he was checking Paolo Banchero or Franz Wagner. But what he told Billy Donovan was, one, I'm going to be better in the next game. And it's one thing for somebody to say it, right? Because, it's basically almost, in my opinion, when I hear that, it's like word salad. We're like, okay, that's cool, but show me. I need some action to that. And we got that action on Monday, and more so, to make it specific, the Atlanta Hawks got that action on Monday with Matas.
They did.
With the points that he dropped. And then also Jalen Johnson put himself on Matas Buzelis' mixtape when he took a baseline in that reverse dunk.
Yes.
And then you fast forwarded to what we saw last night with him putting up 27, how he shot the ball so efficiently, and really how he attacked DeMar DeRozan. So for this dude at this stage of his career, only season 2 for Matas, I'm a firm believer that he has all-star written over him because he makes the necessary steps to be that guy. And it's not just what he says, it's the work that he puts in, it's the film study, it's how he's really challenging guys. I mean, if you do the knowledge when it comes to Matas, him coming out and going into the NBA draft, he had to sit down with Shams Charania. And I've never heard this ever from a draft prospect. He challenged Zachary Ricochet to a one-on-one. And this is before Ricochet became the number 1 overall pick, but obviously mock drafts, Ricochet was going to be 1. He wanted to play Zachary Ricochet one-on-one in front of NBA GMs just to prove that he was the better player. Now, thank the basketball gods that he dropped to 11 and the Bulls copped him, and that's been great for the city and for him. But also, he wants the smoke. He doesn't run away from it. He's a dude that is tough-minded physically and also mentally. And so for him and what we see now, I'm not surprised at what he's been able to do. And again, going back to media day, he's a dude that says, I want to win most improved. You don't hear that from guys in their second year. You don't hear a guy in the second year saying, I want to be coached like an all-defensive player. A lot of dudes shy away from that. Let's be real about it, especially when it comes to media. Maybe they might have side conversations
but they're not going to say
media members. They're not going to say it publicly. And Matas does that. And so when you do that, I'm like, oh, you're different. Okay, I hear you say it, but let me see some action behind that. And we're seeing it early on.
So that sounds to me, and everything with him being from Chi-Town, Cam, and obviously you knowing that too, being from the Chi, that's those kind of players in the cities we're from. They'll get behind you if you have that kind of love. And listen, that's a Bryan kind of player right here. I'm gonna tell you, Bryan loves that kind of player like that. Wants to smoke with with Lisa Shea. He loves that kind of player. Another player. What's impressive to me too, and Bryan and I were talking about this before you came on. The Bulls are doing this without Kobe White. We know Kobe White is cold. We know we could fill it up. We know we could shoot. We understand all that. What's the latest on his injury status? And do you have any concern watching this team that if Kobe comes back and is healthy, that he might mess up the flow of what's going on and the vibe of what's good right now? Do you think he can mess that up at all? Or do you think Kobe kind of seamlessly fits back in?
I don't think that Kobe will mess it up, but it'll definitely be an adjustment for the rotation for a lot of guys. Obviously, somebody will be on the outside looking in with Kobe White being inserted back into that starting lineup. But what I love from Kobe and what I've heard from him and also this front office is that he and the Bulls are on the same page in terms of his return back to the court. And we know how these calf strains can turn into something more dreadful for NBA players. I mean, we have the examples last year of Halliburton, Damian Lillard, DeJounte Murray, right? I mean, it's numerous guys that suffered those Achilles injuries just because it started off as calf strains. And they're going to proceed cautiously. There's no rush to get them out there on the court, but also it's a contract year for Kobe White. He's in no rush to get out there on the court because he wants his money and he earned his money. So with him coming back into the rotation, I think it's an added weapon for this group. But that's why Billy Donovan gets paid multiple M's, because he has to make that decision of how he's going to make this thing work with this rotation in this group. I think with him added to things, of course, there's going to be an adjustment period, as I mentioned, with that, but also for a guy at 6'5" that can shoot the leather off the basketball from range, but also get to the rim and mix things up as well, scoring at the rim and getting to the block and score. I think people make the misconception of Kobe White when they see him listed at 6'5", but I think he's even said this as well, that his arms are a little shorter, so you don't think that he's 6'5". He's kind of like Desmond Bane a little bit, but until you get up on Kobe White and you realize, oh, yeah, and same thing with Desmond Bane. Like, these guys are full 6'5", and they're able to use their shoulders to separate from defenders and get buckets. So I look at it as an added bonus, and it's going to be an adjustment period instead of Kobe coming back in and messing things up.
Okay.
I guess my only question to that would be, what if he returns and they're not as good? Because it does feel like around the NBA, the one-way shooting guards, like the teams kind of do benefit when they're not out there. Not lumping Kobe White into this because I don't feel like he's just a terrible defender, but I do wonder, as somebody who does need some usage and is going to take up more of a share of the offense, to Dex's point, the way that they're flowing, like, is there a world where something has to change dramatically if he comes back and they're not sort of as impactful? Like, one example would be in Miami. They've done a bunch of winning. Dexter knows where I'm going because I pick on this dude a little too much. But all the winning that they've done, Tyler Hero's been hurt or not really that impactful, and he's still their second best player, quote unquote. So, like, is this a situation where Kobe White has to also be impactful, not just come in and fill it up, but like he has to equate to winning because he's playing for that contract too?
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Brian. And that's a great question and a great point, because a lot of Bulls fans have that lurking in the back of their heads. Like, okay, this is great. This team is 4-0. The chemistry is there. It's a fun brand of basketball. We're seeing Tre Jones in that starting group really help this team out. Josh Giddey off the ball is really great. But if you insert Kobe White back into that lineup and now you have more ball handling duties for Josh Giddey, what's the domino effect? How many minutes will Tre Jones get? How will that impact Ayo Dosunmu? How will it help them on the defensive end and really basically keep this team in the top 10 when it comes to defensive ratings and also some other categories? But that's why it's a team concept. And again, I go back to this group being a unit, and they're going to do it together. And they understand, and Kobe understands this. He's watching. He understands who they are. He saw it last year and was part of the reason why they won 15 of the last 20 games is because they work in tandem with each other. They work as a unit. So not only for him coming in and knocking down shots and making plays, but he's a guy defensively. When you pair him on the court with a Tre Jones or Ayo Dosunmu, you're able to really, I'm not going to say hide Kobe, but you have the other four guys on that court helping and aiding him in things that he may lack compared to a guy like Tre Jones on the ball that can really be disruptive. And the same thing for Ayo Dosunmu. So I think that's one of the bigger things that I look at with Kobe is on the defensive end, how he's able to help this team. But again, going back to Billy Donovan and who he is, I have full faith in him understanding how to make Kobe White work within what the Bulls are now this season.
Once again, everybody, we have Cam Smith joining us from Chicago Sports Network. He's a pre- and post-game show host with Chicago Bulls. Check him out there. Cam, a couple more things for you. All right, so this we talk about the rivalry with the Knicks and Bulls. This is a NBA Cup matchup. I don't know how you feel about the NBA Cup. There's some NBA Cup haters out there. I am not one of those. I like playing for extra things, but I'm a big English Premier League soccer fan, so I'm used to playing for multiple trophies and stuff like that. So I get that.
Wait. Who's your team in the EPL? Who's your team?
This is going to be
what we doing?
You know what? I'm looking at you because I'm like, who do you root for? That's what I'm thinking.
Because if you say a certain club, I might have to hop off right now. I might just leave the show right now.
My hat was up there. I don't have it. You can't. If you go full, you would see the jersey I have back here. But I'm a Liverpool fan. I'm a big Liverpool fan. Oh man,
where is this going? Where is this going, Cam?
He's a Manchester United fan.
Brian, it's about to go somewhere because
he's a Manchester United fan.
No, oh my God, no, don't do that on me. Don't do that on me.
Okay,
no. I wouldn't wish that. I wouldn't wish that on my own worst enemy.
You're Arsenal
man,
guy.
Come on, look, who's atop the table in the EPL right now? Last time I checked.
As soon as he leaned back like that, I was like, "Oh, I saw the Arsenal in him." And you know why? Because I have family members in England who my mom's brothers were all Liverpool fans. That's kind of where I got it from. I have a couple of aunts who are Arsenal fans. I don't hate Arsenal, so I want to be very clear about this. I don't have hate for Arsenal. I'm going to say this to you here, and please, Cam, Cam and I have some mutual connections. Cam, I don't want you to not come back on the show. I don't want that to happen. I'd love to have you on again. You know, I'm a fan of your work.
Where we going?
It feels like I'm about to set you up for something. I know. It feels like
you are. I hear it.
But if y'all don't do it this year,
hey, you know,
brother, I see it in your face.
Hey, look, I'm 100% with you. I'm 100% with you. And so I have an 8-year-old son, and of course, he's an Arsenal fan as well. So every time when we have to get up early in the morning to watch the matches, nah, man, it sounds like I'm raising them the right way. That's what that sounds like, Dex. But I cannot look my son in the eyes or see him crying and getting emotional if Arsenal does not bring trophies, plural trophies, back to the Emirates this season. They have to do it. They have to do it.
I understand where you're coming from, but it's funny because Brian and I talked about this at the top of the show before you came in here. But because there's some people who've been hating on Liverpool's recent form, and I haven't liked it. But I just want you to know who are the champions of the English Premier League right now?
Well, that was last year's English Premier League. That was last year. You know, every year it's a new season. So right now, technically, there is no champion of the English Premier League. So I mean, Arsenal's in position to be champions.
That. Oh my God! now, Cam and I have something because this is what's going to happen. People, I'm gonna let people know. We'll get back to basketball in a second. If Liverpool continues to falter, I'm now going to get texts from Cam. This is guaranteed.
Oh, facts.
Because the Arsenal fan has just been waiting for this.
Facts. Look. We've already. I'm not going to say we prayed on the downfall of Man City. Not Liverpool.
Oh, Man City.
But Man City.
Oh, but we can do that together. We can do that.
I used to respect Erling Haaland until last year when they faced off against Man City. And they scored, and he threw the ball at the back of my man Gabriel's head. After that, I'm like, you know what? That's dirty play. You foul for that. Can't do it. So no.
Damn. Somebody in the chat said Arsenal's the Atlanta Hawks of their league.
Hey man, I don't know who that is, or who hurt you today, or how your day's been going, or who messed your day up. But don't do that, man. That's disrespectful, man.
The person's a Manchester fan. Didn't clarify if it's a City or United, though.
Oh, you know what? It was probably Dex's burner account, man. That was probably Dex. Brian, did you see how he went right to that comment? I mean, your viewers have always been engaging the entire time in the comments, and now he picks that comment out, Brian.
I'm glad my team is in La Liga.
He's a conversation. So he's no fighting this. I will say, I just want people to know, I do not hate Arsenal at all. Liverpool and Arsenal have had really good battles over the last couple of years, but there's I don't feel about you guys the way I feel about Man City or you room for Manchester. Who said they room for Manchester in here? I don't even know. Is East Blue Drew?
East Blue Drew, yeah.
Which Manchester, East Blue Drew?
Didn't say. Yeah. That's what I want to know. Also.
East Blue Drew's a fellow Brooklynite, so I want to show him love.
Especially if you're talking about Arsenal as the Atlanta Hawks of their division, East Blue True. Like, I mean, and you're talking about Manchester. Yeah, I root for Manchester. Which Manchester? See, like, don't try and throw rocks and hide your hands. Don't do that. Don't do that.
East Blue, you're a fellow Brooklynite. You know, it's Brooklyn all day, but come on, man. Come on. All right, Cam, before we let you go, I appreciate getting some soccer talking here out here. But Cam, this is an NBA Cup game. Again, I don't know how you feel about the Cup. People feel different ways. Brian and I, we like the Cup. He is a United fan. He has come in and said that. That felt like United energy. I would just say that. There's stakes in this. You got the Knicks Bulls rivalry, but now you got this NBA Cup game. Some people think certain teams shouldn't care about the NBA Cup. The Bulls feel like a team right now 4-0 that we should take this seriously. Does this add more to you with it being an NBA Cup game and tomorrow and seeing the court and all that? Does it add a little bit more to you for the juice between these two teams?
You know what? When the league announced the NBA Cup and I saw the court changes and the uniform changes, I'm like, I'm a truist, right, with this, because we talked about the history between the Bulls and the Knicks, and just that was organic, that was natural. It wasn't these gimmicky, made-up type rivalries that the league is trying to do. But again, I understand it from a business standpoint, and we just talked about the EPL and with the different leagues and the different tournaments that go on. So I get it to try and get fans engaged even more. I've come around to the NBA Cup last year as opposed to when it first started, because it felt like they threw too much in that first season on it with the court changes and the uniform changes. I'm like, all right, this is too weak. This is too gimmicky. I don't like it. But when you see some of the games being played and you throw in the incentives of how these guys will make some money off of that, but more importantly, of not how some of these stars like we've seen, like a Damian Lillard or LeBron James, pocket all of that cash for themselves. They give it to some of these guys that are the 12th guy on the roster that are on a two-way contract that are not making as much. So you get those good stories from it. Now, to fast forward and to bring it current to what we're getting ready to see tomorrow, knowing the Bulls-Knicks rivalry, because, again, it's still a rivalry to me, but then also knowing the connection that Jalen Brunson has back in the Chicago area. And Jalen is a guy that I covered even going back to his high school days at Stevenson High School. I know him very well. His pops, Rick, his family, his sister, his mother, they're all great people. So he always plays with a little something extra back in Chicago. So that adds to what we'll see tomorrow night in the NBA Cup between the Bulls and the Knicks. Now you have a team that's 4-0. You have a team in the Knicks that took the L against the Milwaukee Bucks. Mm-hmm. So that energy will clash with each other. And I think it'll make for not only a good game on Friday, but also when they run it back again Sunday in the Garden.
That's true. What do you think of the keys to this game, Cam? What are the keys if the Bulls are going to get a win here or the Knicks are going to come out on top? What are the keys in your eyes?
Well, I'll say for the Bulls first, of course, since I'm repping Chicago in this Bulls team, this franchise, it has to be who you are and do what you've done to be in a position to be undefeated. Mm-hmm. And that's continuously wear on your opponent. And I think they can do that with the Knicks. I understand that Mike Brown is utilized the bench more than Tom Thibodeau has. And I know Knicks fans are just like, yes, it's good to see a lot of that responsibility and burden on the shoulders of Jalen Brunson be distributed out and also getting more guys out there to get fresher legs. But I think with the Bulls being at home and understanding that with this Knicks group that Jalen Brunson is the guy for this team. He'll see multiple defenders. He's going to see Trey Jones. He'll see Ayo Dosunmu. He'll see Isaac Okoro of trying to really cut the head off of the snake. But that's a tough one to try and cut the head off of because Jalen Brunson is that dude for sure. But I think with this Bulls team, they have to get out and run, one, but then also two, challenge these three-point shots that the Knicks are going to take in this matchup. But on the flip side for this Knicks team, I think if you get out to a strong start and really take control and take yourself in control of the steering wheel and maintain that, that's one of the keys. But I think, one, you have to really try to make sure that Nikola Vucevic is the guy that you target on the defensive end. That's up to Karl-Anthony Towns. That's also up to Jalen Brunson if they can put Vooch in some pick-and-roll situations to really eliminate him and really attack him. So those would be the keys that I'll have for both sides.
I like those keys.
I also just want to point out, suddenly this group got really interesting as far as the NBA Cup goes, because before the year, people don't know how to feel about most of this group except for the Knicks. But for people who don't know, it's the Knicks, the Bulls, also the Heat, the Bucks, and the Hornets. Giannis isn't playing tonight, and the Bulls don't have their Cup game, I don't think, Friday. So Giannis is out. But in this group, I do feel like for the Bulls particularly, because I don't know how much the Knicks are going to put stock into this, although coincidentally they are bringing back apparently their entire roster in anticipation of this Bulls game, because now Mitchell Robinson might even make a season debut. But anyway, I just think, Cam, like this is going to be something that the Bulls could potentially take advantage of. Like if you get into that final eight, I mean, we all like international soccer here. I also watch a lot of international basketball, so I think this stuff does matter, and I think it could matter for a team that sees themselves as ascending. So I'd be interested to see what the effort level is going to be like in these two games, because there are a lot of Knicks fans here freaking out about the Knicks and their 2-2 start. Not 0-4, not 1-3,
freaking out.
2-2. But if they split these two games, and it's hard to beat an NBA team, especially playing as well as the Bulls twice, or even lose both, then it's going to be an interesting conversation next week.
It will be for sure. Cam, one thing you have in common with me and Brian here is that you've had the opportunity to cover sports in your hometown. And I know personally, doing the show and hosting Knicks and you doing the Bulls, I know that feels good. How good has that felt for you to, be home, being, in the Windy City and covering sports and doing what you do? Because I know it feels great for us and I'm honored in the position I'm in, but how's it felt for you?
Man, it really feels surreal to have this opportunity, right? Because this will be year 16 that I've been in the business, and I've had so many different roles with so many different networks. I mean, I spent time for about 3 to 4 years actually out in New York.
And MSG with MSG.
With MSG, with my, I'm not even going to say my friend. She's a sister to me. She's family, Monica McNutt. And us doing MSG 150 with Bill Pito and Alan Hahn and Wally Zerbiak and my guy, John Wallace. So being out there and just really trying to find my way. And I got to really show love to the city of New York and just the fans out there, because they embraced me, even though they knew I was a Chicago guy and I will wear it proud on the show and talk about that. Me and Bill Pito will have our back and forth about who was better in basketball, is it New York or Chicago. But walking the streets of New York and people stopping me and say, look, I respect who you are, I know who you are, keep doing your thing, man. We enjoy your takes and love that. So that took me to another level and another plateau. And so, as I mentioned, I had different roles throughout my journey, but to have this role in this spot in my home city with this iconic franchise. And again, I'm an 80s baby. I vividly remember the Jordan years and what Derrick Rose means to this city on and off the court. It's surreal to have this spot. And again, you're talking to a guy that is a former hooper himself. Like, I played Division I basketball at Southern Illinois, and won conference championships and made it to the NCAA tournament all 4 years. So talking basketball, analyzing basketball, making jokes about the game, but having fun and really appreciating and loving the game is something for me that is worthwhile. And again, is a dream job. And this is what I have for myself. And I'm thankful for the Bulls organization, my network, Chicago Sports Network, and all the support that I have over there for them instilling the trust in me to fulfill this role. And it's been a fun ride so far, again, as the Bulls are 4-0.
Yeah, listen, you're smiling. I see it. It's good vibes. Shout out to Chicago Sports Network. Shout out to my mentee, Naomi Gray, who's
yes. Shout out Naomi Gray. Naomi Gray. Now, I know I'm the host of the show, but Naomi is the leader of that show, and she does great work. So it's always fun, man.
We go way back.
That's my mentee,
like 10 years, legit.
Yeah, and then for people don't know, Cam and I brought this up to him. Cam's cousin, who I worked with before. At least shout out to Alicia Betts. That is his cousin. She is my mentor. So there's a really good connection there. Cam, one last thing I'd ask you about how you feel. Since we talked a little soccer, how did you feel when my man Dominic Szoboszlai had that goal on you guys earlier this season? How did that feel?
Hey, man, I appreciate y'all inviting me. Y'all take care. Y'all have a good evening, man. Blessings to y'all. Knicks, Bulls tomorrow night, NBA Cup. They match up again on Sunday at the Garden. It's going to be a spicy matchup. Dex, Bryan, appreciate y'all, man. Love to your families. God bless. Good night.
That is the best out I've ever seen to a question. He was like, and you know what's funny, Kid Cam? I can't say nothing. No matter what I say to you, you're going to be like, where you at in the standings right now? And that's fair. And that is fair.
Hey, I'm trying to hold on to it as long as I can, man. But
listen,
again,
man,
we got to finish it with trophies. We got to win the league, man.
Fair.
That's what it comes down to.
That's all fair. Everybody, that is Cameron Smith. Check him out. Chicago Sports Network came with us to break down Knicks Bulls. Cam, we're definitely going to have you back again. Even though you root for that team in London, we're still going to have you back again because I love what you do, man. So thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Dexter and Bryan, man. Always love, fellas. I'm ready to be back whenever you need me.
We will absolutely have you back, Cam. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. All right, everybody. Cam joined us. He did well. He survived, even though he is an Arsenal fan. We still got love for him there for sure. All right, we're going to run through this really quickly. You know what we do at this time of the show. We do real or not. We go through three things. We decide if it's real or not. We're going to start with the Knicks defense. And my question here for Bryan is, will the Knicks defense carry them through rough patches? The Knicks are currently, according to Cleaning the Glass, they are 8th in defensive rating. We talked about the Bulls. You heard Cam talk about the Bulls. They're 3rd in some in defensive rating is by some standards. 4th in defensive rating, according to Cleaning the Glass, 107 points per 100 possessions. The Knicks are 8th, 111.9 points per 100 possessions. The defense has been good. I've said they will be a top 8 to 10 defense. They are 8. It is 4 games, though, so let's not trip. 4 games. But do you think their defense will carry them through rough patches like we've seen in the last couple of games this season? Do you think that'll happen?
I don't know. So define rough patches. Like, do you think
Karl-Anthony Towns having 5 fouls and 8 points? The team shooting 30% from 3. That feels like rough patches where the offense isn't there. Because we know, look, some nights offense is going to be there and you're going to need your defense to carry you, right? I think it can good enough to do that.
The difficult thing I have is just on a day-to-day NBA basis, who's going to be out there? Like, who won't go be there? You know what I mean? And you look at Cleveland. Cleveland didn't have Darius Garland, Max Strus, or DeAndre Hunter in that first game. Boston obviously didn't have Jason Tatum. Miami doesn't have Tyler Hero. As much as I feel like that may not be the most relevant thing. Milwaukee had their guys pretty much. The Bulls are going to have everyone but Kobe White and Zach Collins, but Zach Collins is perpetually injured, so it is what it is. I think it can, but I think if you're playing an elite team or an elite player that's mostly healthy, that's where I have more questions. So Milwaukee was able to figure out, and we talked about this on a live show, but Milwaukee made the adjustment. Like, they formed a wall, the Knicks. They formed a wall against Giannis. And then they did some problem solving at halftime, evidently, because they came out and were like, okay, Doc Rivers said, we're going to put shooters in the corners. We're going to spread the Knicks defense out. Giannis found the shooters. And then eventually, once the Knicks defense was spread out, Giannis was able to get to the rack and do what he does. And other guys were able to feed off of that. Like he led them as a star should. And that's where I have the concern. So I think the defense can carry them against the not good / middling teams. But if you're facing an elite offensive team or an elite offensive player that's mostly healthy, then I don't know.
I think that's a fair answer. I think it can carry them to rough patches where they don't shoot the ball well, or Karl-Anthony Towns has the kind of game that he did against weaker teams, and you'd want them to. They should be handling their business in that way. Defense can win you games when you don't shoot well, but you're right. Good offensive teams with great offensive players will figure things out eventually. That's why they're superstars, right? Like that's why this stuff happens. So
or great coaching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we just talked about how Billy Donovan's doing a good job, really good job with the Bulls so far. Like the Bulls have a system and they know who they are. The Heat have a system and they know who they are. So and these are the kind of teams that I think could bother the Knicks too, even with Mitchell Robinson out there, because we're not expecting Mitchell Robinson to play big minutes this season, apparently.
Right. And I think you will see. I do think this. I still want to stand on. I think this Knicks defense will be better. I do think it'll carry them into rough patch against weaker teams, and the Knicks should be one of the better teams in the league. So I'm going to lean towards yes. This is like a yes, but I love the caveat you brought against elite defenses, elite players. We got to see how that looks. There. All right, second real or not. Cat is uncomfortable in Mike Brown's office because that's been some of the talking points after what we saw on the other night against the Bucks. You know, he had the 8 points, he had the 5 fouls. Some people saying he's not comfortable. I had another journalist I talked to yesterday who told me he doesn't think Cat particularly likes Mike Brown or likes playing this offense. I don't necessarily agree with that.
Was it more of a theory, or was that like kind of a
theory?
report?
There was not reporting to this. I talked to the journalist who had a theory on this.
Okay.
There was not reporting. By the way, Mo in the chat said, "Is this game on MSG tonight?" No, the game is tomorrow, and it'll be on Prime. Actually, it'll be a game on Prime if I'm not.
Is it? I don't know if it's on. I checked.
No, it's not on Prime tomorrow. It's not a Prime game tomorrow. It's an MSG game tomorrow. Friday night Knicks. Friday night Knicks, people. So what do you think? Cat uncomfortable in Mike Brown's offense? Yay or nay?
So far, yes. I don't think that's a lasting thing. I think he'll figure out the offense. The issue that I have is always going to be on the defensive end, and always going to be the fouls and the timing. It's just those type of things. I'm not really worried about Cat offensively. Like he's going to find his shot. He's shooting 35% from the field. I don't think, regardless of how pessimistic you are about Cat, I don't think you believe that's going to be a lasting thing. You know, any of you watching this, right? 33% from three. I don't think that's going to be a lasting thing either. So I think the offense will figure itself out. Yes, he's struggling so far, and there's going to be times where it doesn't look pretty because if you're trying to increase movement, you know, he's not he's a great shooter, but he's not the most fleet of foot, and it looks clunky when he drives, and you have to get him in more pick and pop spots and more catch and shoot opportunities, and opportunities at the rim, as a matter of fact, too. So I think that'll figure itself out. The defense is where there's always going to be questions, and can he be just disciplined enough for the Knicks, to your point, to have a top 8 to 10 defense?
Yeah, he's a huge part of that, him being disciplined enough, right? Like, I do think so. I'm not concerned about him in the offense. I think he's just way too talented of an offensive player. I think if you look at the shot diet Cat has had and look at the shots he's been taking, they've been good shots. He just has not been hitting them. And sometimes that happens in stretches of a season. It's a little concerning, I think, for people when they see it in the beginning of the season, like, ooh, he's only shooting 35%
right out the gate, new system.
Oh, he's only shooting 33, right? Like, but like, players usually play to the back of their card, baseball card, basketball card, whatever you want to say. I think he will be fine. I'm not worried about him because he's too good of an offense player. We also know he's prone to dumb fouls, as I talked about on the other night. That should be more of the concern. I think he'll be comfortable. So I'm giving a no to this. He will be comfortable eventually, Mike Brown's offense. I also think there's going to be ways they're going to be able to utilize his passing out of the high post that we will see more of as this offense just gets more fluid and more comfortable. I think that'll look better. All right, last thing for me. Mikal Bridges. Some of y'all were on him last year. He's had a good start to the season. Speaking of looking comfortable in the offense, he looks comfortable in Mike Brown's offense. Mikal Bridges will be the most consistent Knick this season, Brian. Yes or no? What do you say?
It's still probably going to be Jalen Brunson, but it's going to be from a two-way perspective. It probably will be Mikal Bridges because he looks like he's back closer to where he was before they got him, what they traded for. He's more comfortable on the offense because he is just faster than OG Anunoby. He has more on-ball juice than OG Anunoby from an offensive perspective, from an offensive standpoint. Like OG Anunoby, say what you want, but we're in year, I don't know how many, 7, 8 9 years of this already, and the offense is clunky, and it's just going to be clunky. And OG's offense is going to come down to, is he hitting his corner three? Great. Is he not? He'll be great defensively, most likely. Like that's what it is. And Mikal Bridges can just do more than that. Not to say he's better, because I think OG Anunoby's defense is better from a high-end perspective. But yeah, I think Mikal is probably going to be the most consistent two-way guy if he just continues to play like this, because of the pop that he can give you on the ball. He's getting to the rim again, which is a big thing so far this season. He shot 12 free throws. He's made 11 of them. He's 90% from the free throw line. If he's going to score at all three levels, and particularly be accurate from three, he's 47% so far on real volume, about 5 attempts per game, and getting to the free throw line. I don't think he's going to shoot 91% from free throw the entire year, but if he's getting there, this is literally the number we said before the season, 3 times a game. Yes, then the consistency is going to be there from a two-way perspective. It's hard not to say Jalen Brunson, though, just because
I think it's hard.
Brunson, but
two-way
player, it could.
I think he's the most consistent two-way player. Most consistent player. I mean, there's a world and it could happen. I think it's just hard to bet against Jalen Brunson. I will say, I love that you brought up the free throw stuff, because we've been talking about that since last year.
He's doing it.
Talked about in the offseason. I did say in the offseason, I thought he would have. He's the most impactful Knick. I think I had it as the most impactful Knick, number 1 on my list, and I thought he was going to have a good season. You talked about the free throws that has improved. Knicks' free throw rate is also better. Knicks are 12th in the league in free throw rate in terms of how many free throws did the team make per 100 field goal attempts. They're making 24.6 free throws per 100 field goal attempts. So that's really good. They're 12th in the league. That can go up even higher because of a guy we're talking about who's not even playing that great offensively in Karl-Anthony Towns. So if Mikal Bridges, we know Jalen Brunson will get to the line, but if Mikal Bridges is getting to the line and Cat can start getting to the line more, and we've even seen some from OG, that's going to bode better for this team's offensive efficiency. And we know offense is still not great right now. The Knicks are 24th, according to Cleaning the Glass, in offensive rating, 111 points, 111.4 points per 100 possessions. So we could see that get better. Yeah, I do think, I will say this. I think Mikal Bridges will be one of the most consistent Knicks this year. I think he's one of the most important pieces this year and be one of the most impactful Knicks this year. I think he's already shown that early on. He just looks comfortable, and sometimes that happens in year 2 with the team, and it's cool. And sometimes that comes with new coaching for y'all that want to get Mike Brown out of here, and that's also cool. But we'll see. All right. Yeah. Good job, Real or Not. We are going to get out of here. We appreciate y'all rocking with us here on this Thursday evening. Special shout out to our guest, Cam Smith. He had the technical issues, but we got it all worked out. So we went a little bit longer today with Cam. Cam gave us a good time, even though he roots for that team in North London. But we still will show him love there. Thank you to everybody in the chat, the regulars in here, East Blue Drew, Dorkosaurus Rex. You were coming through with the stats. We sure saw you, Mo. You said you got to add MSG to your TV lineup. Please do that so you can watch the game tonight. We will be back. Another episode of New York Got Game will drop on Monday. I've got my guy, Benjamin Ritholz from Knicks Film School. He will be joining me for a breakdown. We're going to look at the Knicks offense, what's going right, what's going wrong. Brian and I should have something fun for you guys next week in terms of an episode. We're going to keep that a surprise. I think that's going to be a fun one that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about that. We'll have another watch party coming up later in next month, but we've got a lot more content coming for you on New York
games too.
What'd you say?
As well, we'll be doing stuff at games as well that we'll post.
Yep, that is true.
Some
stuff at games,
boots on the ground. Also, want to throw this last thing out there because you mentioned Mikal Bridges and it taking a year. Famously, you know who's another Knick that really struggled in their first year before getting it together and making it to the All-Star game multiple times? I don't know if Bridges is going to do that part, but another Knick that struggled the first year and then turned it around and was part of some really good Knick teams in the late 90s.
Oh, in the late 90s.
Allen Houston.
Didn't shoot the ball well his first season.
Nope. And then he became what he became. I don't know if Bridges is going to do that, but there is precedent for a high-profile wing who was costly, who came in, struggled the first year, turned it around, and
ended up getting himself a nice new contract after that. Once he did that, so that's good. All right, everybody, be well. We'll see if the Knicks can win tomorrow and improve to 3-2. They then play Chicago on Sunday again, as Cam had mentioned. So a little home and home series for this team. One being an NBA Cup game, one being a non-NBA Cup game. we'll see. I will also be at the Knicks game against the Timberwolves on Wednesday.
Same.
Brian will be there as well with me too. So we'll have something for you guys on that. That should be good. Everybody be well. Enjoy your Friday night Knicks. I am Dexter Henry. That is Bryan Fonseca. Special thanks to our producer, Tommy Cohen. Did a fantastic job on this. We will see y'all next week for another edition of Knicks Weekly Live and a lot more content. So stay tapped in to New York Got Game. Peace, y'all.